Imagine this. You're sitting in traffic, running late for an important meeting. You feel your heart race, your palms sweat, and suddenly you're on edge. That rush you're feeling, it's your body's stress response kicking into gear. A survival mechanism millions of years in the making. Now, that kind of short-term stress, it's normal. In fact, it's necessary. But what happens when stress doesn't turn off? When it becomes chronic, seeping into every part of your day? That's where things get interesting and a little concerning. Chronic stress can literally rewire your brain. Let me explain how this works. At the center of our stress response is something called the HPA, which is like our body's internal alarm system. When you face stress, your brain sends a signal to release hormones like cortisol. A little bit of cortisol helps you stay sharp in tough situations, but too much over long periods of time can cause serious problems. What kind of problems? Well, scientists have discovered that chronic stress actually shrinks parts of your brain that are important for memory and learning, like the hippocampus. At the same time, it beefs up the amygdala, which controls fear and anxiety. So over time, you may not just feel more anxious, you actually become more anxious because your brain is rewiring itself. But here's where it gets really fascinating. Researchers have recently started looking at how our genes play a role in this. There's a specific protein in our brain called the MECP2 that acts like a master switch for stress regulation. It controls the expression of certain genes that manage hormones like cortisol. Think of it like a traffic light for stress. When it's working properly, it keeps stress in check. But when it's malfunctioning, the floodgates open. In our lab, we're studying what happens when this switch gets disrupted, especially during early life stress, which is a crucial period for brain development. We're using genetically modified mice to turn off this MECP2 switch in specific neurons. What we found is astonishing. When this gene is off and the mice experience stress early in life, they show increased anxiety and depressive behaviors. Essentially, their brains become stuck in stress mode. Why does that matter? Well, we know that mental health disorders like depression and anxiety often emerge after prolonged stress, and this research is helping us pinpoint the biological mechanisms behind that. If we can understand the specific genes and brain pathways involved, we're one step closer to developing therapies that could reverse the harmful effects of chronic stress. So next time you're feeling overwhelmed by life's pressures, remember, your brain is trying its best to adapt